Hey guys, Matters That Matter here, talking about the Adeptus Mechanicus Index for 8th edition Warhammer 40k again. Going to be doing part 5 in the series, and we are finally done with Cult Mechanicus, moving on to the Skitarii part of the index. So today we're going to be analyzing the troop section of the Skitarii index. It is still under keyword Adeptus Mechanicus, but it's lost Cult Mechanicus, gained the Skitarii keyword. So let's go ahead and move right into it. First thing I want to talk about, for those of us seasoned AdMech players coming from 7th edition, unfortunately Doctrina imperatives are gone. Skitarii now have Canticles of the Omnissiah, just like the Cult Mech units. So it's kind of simplified it. I don't really know how I feel about it. I don't think I like it as much, but it's what we got, and it's what we're going to work with. So, even though I've said that, the units are still very playable. I feel like there was some broken combinations last edition, and this definitely solves those. So let's move right into those troops. Starting out with Skitarii Rangers, have a movement of 6 inches, weapon skill of 4+, ballistic skill of 3+, strength 3, toughness 3, wound a piece, 1 attack for the normal guys, and 2 attacks for the alpha, which is basically their sergeant. Leadership 6 for the normal guys, 7 for the sergeant, and a 4-up armor save for both. The unit starts out as 1 Ranger Alpha and 4 Skitarii Rangers, and you can add up to 5 additional Skitarii Rangers. All of them are armed with galvanic rifles. So, going from 7th to 8th, your Alpha has lost a wound. He used to have 2 wounds, which was nice. He can also now no longer take the field emitters, so he can't have a 5 or 4-up invuln save, which is kind of a shame. However, this unit of Rangers is now only 100 points at 10 men, where it used to be 120, so you've got a 20-point drop-off there. So Rangers have always had a weird position in my mind. I feel like they don't really fulfill the role that I want them to quite well, and in this edition that's been exacerbated. Galvanic Rifle previously was range 30, rapid fire 1, strength 4, AP 4, which in this edition translates to AP -1 for all of the other weapons in the game. Damage, well, there just wasn't damage last edition. However, this edition, it's range 30, rapid fire 1, strength 4, AP nothing. So it's basically lost an AP, damage of 1 each time you make a 2-wound roll of 6 with this weapon. It's AP of -1. Now, I really don't see why they did this. I wish that the unit would have just stayed a little bit more expensive, and they would have had the AP of -1. I feel like it would have been a lot better. Up to 2 Skitarii Rangers may replace their Galvanic Rifle from the Adeptus Mechanicus Special Weapons list, which is comprised of Plasma Cavaliers, arc rifles, or a transonic arquebus. Now, because of their long-range capability, I normally take a 5-man squad of Rangers with 2 transonic arquebuses. Transonic arquebus, I'll pull up for us in just a moment. They can also take a 3rd special weapon if they are a 10-man unit. 1 Skitarii Ranger may also have either an enhanced data tether or an omnispecs. The enhanced data tether basically adds +1 to your leadership. The omnispecs makes it so any unit that you are firing at does not gain the benefit of cover. Skitarii Alpha may take 1 item from the melee weapons list and replace their Galvanic Rifle with 1 item from the Adeptus Mechanicus Pistols list, which is a radium pistol, arc pistol, or phosphor blast pistol. For the melee weapons, you can take a power sword, a taser goad, or an arc maul, which we will discuss in just a moment. Moving on to their special weapons, you have Canticles of the Omnissiah, and then the special rule for the Omnispecs, I went over Enhanced Data Tether. You can, it's not +1 leadership. It's you can re-roll failed morale test for a unit that includes a model with the Enhanced Data Tether, which is alright. And then they have the Bionic special rule, which gives them a 6-up in Molten Save. Now, I want to go ahead and address their weapons that they can take, as well as the weapons that the Alpha can take. So we're going to start out with the Arc Pistol, which the Alpha can take. It's 12-inch range, pistol 1, strength 6, AP -1, damage of 1 when attacking a vehicle. This weapon has a damage of D3. So, if you're running up the field, another way that I like to field Rangers is with arc rifles and the Sergeant with an arc pistol. You can run up the field and really do a lot of damage to your enemy's vehicles. Also, if you get tied up in combat with things like Space Marines, you're going to be able to put some hurt on them with this in close combat now that it's a pistol, and pistols can now fire in close combat. AP of -1 isn't bad. Most vehicles rocking a 3-up armor save is now putting them to a 4-up, which is a pretty gigantic jump. It's the difference in Skitarii armor and Space Marine armor. So, yeah. Now, 2 Skitarii can replace their weapons with the special weapons list. One of the weapons in that special weapons list is the arc rifle. Range 24, rapid fire 1, strength 6, AP -1, damage of 1 when attacking a vehicle, has a damage of D3. So basically it's you've doubled the range of the arc pistol, made it rapid fire 1, and that's it. So figure if you're at 12 inches with a 5-man ranger squad that has an arc rifle, or 2 arc rifles and an arc pistol, you're putting out 5 shots of strength 6, AP -1, D3 damage, and the arc rifle is 4 points. So I can't see a reason why not to take it. Next thing that we're going to talk about is the Plasma Cavalier. The Plasma Cavalier is, of course, a plasma weapon, and it now has the standard and supercharged firing options. It has been nerfed a little bit. It's gone down to Assault 2. It was previously Assault 3. That's a bit of a shame. I don't like to field these on Rangers. I prefer these on Vanguard. Vanguard have the same choices in special weapons and weapons for the Alpha. Because it has the same range as their normal weapons, which is range 18, the Plasma Cavalier is Assault 2, Strength 7, AP -3, damage of 1, or if you supercharge, Strength 8, AP -3, damage of 2 on a roll of the 1. The bearer is slain after all of its weapons have shot. So, it's not bad. You can definitely run up, hurt vehicles pretty good, fire it into stuff that you just really need dead, and figure you can take 3 of these in a 10-man squad. That's, 6 assault plasma shots. And the nice thing is that it is assault, so if you're not too worried about these guys dying, it's kind of late in the turn count, you can, move, advance, and still fire, which is nice because the Vanguard's normal weapons are assault weapons, so everyone is very mobile, can still lay down a lot of pain. Next thing that we're going to talk about is the Transonic Arquebus. If I can just go ahead and find it, there it is. Okay, so Transonic Arquebus. Its range has been reduced by 12 inches, but that's not really a big deal because it's still a 60-inch range. So before it was 72-inch range, it was a sniper weapon, and it had armor bane. It was awful. because the average dice roll for 2 dice is 7, and that's when you're attacking a vehicle. Your base strength is 4, so you were glancing armor 11 on average. Most things were front armor 12, and it was 35 points last edition. This edition, I believe it's 25 points. How I like to field these is 2 of them in a 5-man squad of rangers, and just plant them in the back. 60-inch range, heavy 1, strength 7, AP -2, damage of D3. The weapon cannot be fired if the firing model moved during the movement phase. The weapon may not target a character the weapon may target a character even if it is not the closest enemy unit. Each time you make a wound roll of a 6 with this weapon, it inflicts a mortal wound in addition to its normal damage. So basically what you want to do, take these guys, set them up where you want them, don't move them, have them pick off characters early game with a damage of D3. Nothing's going to really survive getting shot by this. So if you put these next to Belisarius Call or a Tech Priest Dominus, now they're hitting on 3s, rerolling either 1s or all of their failed shots. And at strength 7, they're going to be wounding most characters on a 3, and you can even use these guys late game to snipe vehicles and wound them on 4s, 5s for heavier stuff. But they can definitely lay down the pain, and with a AP of -2, figure if you're firing at a Dreadnought, he now is making 5-up armor saves, and then you're doing D3 damage. So, really just an excellent weapon. Next thing we're going to talk about is the Phosphor Blast Pistol, which is another option for the alphas. It's 12-inch range, pistol 1, strength 5, AP -1, damage of 1. The units attacked by this weapon do not gain the bonus for being in cover. So this weapon has received a pretty giant nerf. How you use this last edition was its special rule was different. Other than that, the stat line was the same. Its special rule was a unit that suffered an unsaved wound by this weapon could no longer take cover saves. And before cover saves weren't a modifier, they were a flat, they were a flat 4-up save, right? So what you would do is you would start out by shooting all the phosphor weapons in the army at key units, and then they couldn't take a cover save. So if you shot a, Riptide with a Phosphor Blast Pistol and wounded him, then when your Doomcrawler's shooting him at AP -4, he can't take an armor save, he can't take his cover save, all he has left is a kind of weak invuln. Now it's just they don't gain the bonus to their saving throws for being in cover. Actually, units attacked by this weapon do not gain any bonus to their save. Yeah, so it is just for this weapon, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you do, put a marker on them and then they never gain it for the rest of the turn, but I don't believe that's how it works. So the last thing that we have to cover is the Radium Pistol. And it's pistol 1, strength 3, so it's basically a las pistol. Each time that you roll a 6-up, it inflicts 2 damage instead of 1. It's alright if you are making a close combat Vanguard Alpha for some reason. It's not a bad way to run them. So let's go ahead and move on from that though, and start talking about the other unit I would like to speak on today, which is the Skitarii Vanguard. Skitarii Vanguard are movement of 6, weapon skill 4-up, ballistic skill 3-up, strength 3, toughness 3, wound apiece. They have 1 attack, Alpha has 2, Leadership 6, Leadership 7 for the Alpha, and a 4-up armor save. One last thing I just want to revisit on the Rangers. They previously had move through cover, and both of these units had relentless, meaning that they could move and fire heavy weapons. They've lost that as well, which is a bit of a nerf. However, they are still both stellar units. Anyways, back to the Skitarii Vanguard. Same thing happened where they lost the extra wound on the Alpha, and yeah. So, same kind of setup of you can take 2 special weapons if you have under 10 men. You can take 3 if you have 10. You can take an enhanced data tether or omnispecs, and you can take the pistol and melee weapon for the Alpha there. So you have Canticles of the Omnissiah, Bionics, which is a 6-up inborn save, and Rad Saturation, which is a very important rule this edition with the new to wound chart. Reduce the toughness of an enemy unit other than vehicles whilst they are within 1 inch of any Skitarii Vanguard units. So, that means if you're in close combat. Now, I spoke about this previously in the series, but what this means is I like to use these guys as a pretty cheap screening unit. So I put these in front of my Castellan robots, and I have Call right behind the Castellans. What normally happens is I have 1 or 2 units make it up close to me, they get in combat, but they have to charge the Vanguard first. Vanguard put out a lot of shots, kill a decent amount on Overwatch, then they normally kind of get slaughtered in close combat because they basically are guardsmen with better saves. But normally I have at least 1 make it and stay into combat. Space Marines like to charge me a lot for some reason, and they're toughness 4, they get in close combat with Vanguard, and they're lowered down to toughness 3. The Vanguard are now wounding them on 4s. When the Castellans come in, they're wounding them on 2s, and I will normally pop the Canticle that gives us +1 strength. Now the Vanguard are wounding them on 3s. Call is wounding them on 3s with his 2d6, or wounding them on 2s, excuse me, with his 2d6 additional attacks, and Castellans are wounding them on 2s, so they can just absolutely annihilate whatever is in close combat with them. So you can find very good ways of using that. The other things that are on their sheets is it tells you how omnispecs and enhanced data tethers are used. Past that, let's speak on their base weapon real quick. They all come equipped with this. It's called a Radium Carbine. Range 18, Assault 3, Strength 3, AP -1. Each time you make a wound roll of 6+ for this weapon, inflicts 2 damage instead of 1. So, it's basically a las gun with Assault 3 and a little bit of range shaved off. Now this is nice because if you aren't using them as a screening unit, and you are pushing up the board, and you want to get in your opponent's face, let's say you're an attacker, and you need units to get up the board, these guys can move their 6-inch movement, then advance, and still fire at a -1. They're hitting on a 3-up, and if you're using your Canticles, you can have them re-rolling 1s. So it really is a great way of getting up and still putting out a lot of shots. Now figure if you're in a 10-man unit, that's 30 shots you're putting out, and you'll definitely mess people up. And on 6s, you're causing 2 damage instead of 1, so if a Terminator lets one of those slip by, he's gone. Primaris Marines let 1 slip by, they're gone. Also, for some special rules, like the new versions of Feel No Pain, that work on damage instead of wounds, they're making 2 saves instead of 1. So it's a nice little bonus. And yeah, I think that'll about do it for this episode. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more of this. As I said previously, I'm going to be doing a series on Space Marines and Imperial Guard as well. So, have a great day. This has been Matters That Matter.